When the best race of all time is brought up, it's often said to be Canada 2011, Brazil 2012 or Abu Dhabi 2021. However, one race is often brought up as being the best, the most chaotic and the perfect race overall. This is the story of the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix. As per usual, the Belgian Grand Prix was held at Spa and the circuit was nearly identical to what it is today with one major exception. The track had an actual bus stop chicane with a left-right chicane with a short straight before heading to a left-right complex down the main straight after. Heading into the race, Mika Häkkinen was in the McLaren leading the championship by 7 points from Michael Schumacher who was in the Ferrari, and Spa was round 13 in the 16 race season. It was make or break to win the championship, and the weather forecast read one thing and one thing only, and it read rain. The qualifying system was different from the Q1, Q2 and Q3 system used today. Instead, there was a 1 hour qualifying session with a limit of 12 laps to complete in this time. This sounds like a good idea, but for most of the session, the track was empty unless the weather decided to intervene. How it often went was the back markers going out occasionally, and at the end, everyone would go out to set lap times. After 60 minutes, Häkkinen was on pole, Coulthard in second, and Schumacher was in fourth, just behind his ex-rival Damon Hill. The cars lined up on the grid, and it was soaked. The Ardenne had decided to play its usual trick of turning Spa into a 200-mile-per-hour version of Total Wipeout, and let's just say this name shall be ironic. As the lights went out, Häkkinen kept his lead, but Coulthard had a bad start and was passed by Fisichella, Schumacher and Villeneuve. But coming out of turn 1, there was, to be absolutely blunt, a metric fuck-ton of spray, and as such, the next 10 seconds has to be guessed and judged because of the thick spray that was on the track at the time. Coulthard apparently hit a metal grille, which led to him spinning to the inside wall, hit said wall, and then skid back across the track. Behind, all the cars had to back up, but due to aquaplaning and spray, the drivers couldn't stop in time, and a monsoon of shite occurred. 13 cars were taken out, one of which being Ricardo Rosset, and this is quite funny to watch actually, because he must have been about 50 yards back from everyone else due to a poor start to his Tyrrell, and what he did is he slammed into the pack, even though he had time to react. So basically, instead of hitting the brake, he hit the accelerator, and it just made it even worse. Genuinely, watch the crash and you can see a white Tyrrell slam into the field from 50 or so metres behind. There was a rule at the time that spare cars could be used in case of a red flag on lap 1, so you had 2 cars, which would race normally like today, but 1 spare car, and one of the drivers could hop into the car and take the restart. That's how it worked. This rule meant that 9 drivers who had been taken out in that first crash could take the restart, and the 4 cars that were out were due to minor injuries to drivers or both cars being taken out, and these 4 drivers were Barrichello, Salo and Panis, who couldn't restart, and obviously Rosset, who probably couldn't be trusted after getting the accelerator and the brake pedal mixed up on lap 1. The accident took 1 hour to clean up, and at the second restart, the grid was the same as the original start, obviously minus the cars that had been taken out due to damage. At this restart, Häkkinen got a bad start and was overtaken by Hill, and he and Schumacher went side by side into the source, but Häkkinen spun his car as he got onto the throttle and spun round before being hit by Herbert. However, Häkkinen could not get into the spare car for 2 main reasons, due to it A, only being a safety car and not a red flag, and B, Coulthard taking the spare car. Remember this second point for a bit later on. A safety car was brought out with Hill leading from Schumacher, and when the race restarted, Hill led until lap 8 when Schumacher overtook him and started to pull away. Irvine summarised modern Ferrari and binned it on his own, taking off his front wing in the process. This led him to have to pit, and this dropped him from 3rd to 11th. Everyone then pitted, bar Villeneuve, who took the lead, but once the Williams had pitted, Schumacher had a lead of 40 seconds from Hill, and he closed up on Coulthard and was about to lap him, heading into Pouhon. This is where the second point comes into being useful. Coulthard was in the spare car, and Schumacher closed up to David heading into Pouhon, but due to the spray and Coulthard staying on the racing line intentionally, Schumacher didn't see him and hit the back of him. So Schumacher wiped out Coulthard's wing and took out the Ferrari's right front wheel too. This led to both cars retiring, and when they pulled into the pit lane, Schumacher leaped out his car, took off his helmet, and he ripped out his earplugs as he charged down the pit lane to the McLaren garage, but he had to be stopped by both McLaren and Ferrari mechanics because apparently he wanted to beat up David. You can kind of understand where he's coming from, because he had a really good chance to capitalise on Häkkinen making a mistake and then being punished for it, but he couldn't because Häkkinen's teammate had taken him out of the race when he was leading, so you can kind of understand his frustration a bit there. This led to both Jordans being in the lead, Hill leading from Michael's brother, Ralph, but then Irvine crashed, leaving a total of 9 cars still in the race. But then Fisichella hit the back of Meccano at the bus stop, and this ripped both his front wheels off and nearly caused Benetton to go to the pit lane, but due to him skating across the track at the bus stop chicane, he hit the pit wall on the outside and slid down the main straight, and this ended up with his car catching on fire, but he got out. It was basically just like Science 2022 Austria when his car caught on fire, if that makes any sense. A safety car was deployed and both Jordans pitted, and Hill came over the radio telling the team not to let the drivers fight because they could lose everything in the wet conditions. The end of the race came, and this meant that Jordan claimed their first ever victory, whilst a total of 6 cars finished, leading to the podium being Hill, Ralf Schumacher and Alesi in his Sauber. After the race had finished, it emerged that team orders were used in order to prevent an incident from happening in the Jordan garage. This led later Michael Schumacher to allegedly go to Eddie Jordan after the race to confront him over the choice, which had led to his brother not being able to potentially win the race. This was stated in Eddie Jordan's autobiography a few years ago, when he was reminiscing about this Grand Prix. Anyway, this is a story about the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, a race of chaos, unpredictability, a popular win, controversy, a great track, wet conditions and an unexpected winner. This is why it's considered to be one of the best races of all time, and the race with the most chaos, and the race that a lot of people hold a special place in their hearts for. So if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.